Okay, haves and have not fans, this is the top 10, in my opinion, most shocking or WTF moments in the series. I know with a show that ran almost 200 episodes, everybody's list is probably going to look different. So, if you have any particular moments that didn't make my, top 10 list, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. That's the fun of it. And we're starting at number 10. When the current president made a pass at Candace, I can't remember the exact phrase he used, but he said something to the effect of, "You're a nice piece of black ass," or something like that, and Candace was shook. Remember, this is when her and Charles and Landon, they went to the White House together for the first time, and Landon knew something was off about the scenario because it's like, you know what, nah, this isn't the usual protocol, when we get when the president-elect gets a tour of the White House, the current president is supposed to be there, but this guy, he isn't there. And if I remember correctly, he said some shit to Charles too about how, "You little shit, you weren't supposed to win. I don't like you." And it's like, well, good luck with the country. So yeah, that was a shocking moment where I'm like, damn, the president, said all that. That was wild. Number 9, Catherine cleans house. This is low on the list because it's not a big, oh my gosh moment, but I found it shocking. My mom and I were like, how the hell did Tyler Perry get this to work? So basically, this was when Jim was in his office at the Cryer estate. And at that point, Catherine said she was going to leave him. And somehow, some way, she had these movers come in. And I think John Snyder said this in an interview. It's like, Catherine hired the world's most silent or quiet group of movers because when he came out of his office, the entire mansion was empty. Wasn't a pot to piss in. And it wasn't long after the Cryer estate was set on fire, but it was wild that the entire house was empty. That was not a fork, not a pan. Literally, he went through the kitchen drawers there. It was empty. That was crazy. Number 8. Finding out that Veronica hadn't been faithful in her marriage after all the hell she'd given David about cheating. And at the time, he didn't cheat. But I can't even count how many men she had been with prior to David. Or should I say, even while she was married to David, Veronica had a body count. Other judges, gangsters, hoodlums and whatnot. It was crazy. If I remember correctly, it was hinted her and Jim had an affair, but I think it was said they never had sex or something. But yeah, Veronica had a body count. I'm talking like even before the end of the series where it was RK, Samuel, even when she got with Benny, there were a number of people that Veronica had been with. I'm like, well, damn. And she told David, you know what? There were 2 rules before we got together. Don't cheat on me and don't put your hands on me. It was pretty wild. Number 7. This was just a huge, what the hell, Tyler Perry? When it turned out that Benny had a child. Like, Benny has a baby. The girl showed up in the next to last episode to reveal that Benny is a father. What was the point of this? And the man got killed off in the very next episode, which was the finale. This was completely unnecessary. Number 6, Little Jimmy. If you don't know who that is, Carlos is the oldest son of Celine and Jim. Little Jimmy, or James, whatever his name was, he was like, the kid who was like maybe 7 or 8 or something. And he was introduced during that press conference when Jim was running for governor, but then Celine and her kids showed up and that just ruined everything. But then the next time we see him was towards the final episodes of the show when Jim was in the hospital. And this dude is a full-grown man. And it's like, what the hell? He came in there with the gun pointed at Jim, but it turned out to be a toy. But yeah, it's just crazy to do a random age up like this. Like, getting new actors for a role isn't uncommon. Hell, it happened with Mama Rose. It happened with probably other characters. I can't think of what the names are, but I know it happened like at least 2 or 3 times in the haves and the have-nots where a character was changed up by another actor at some point in the series. But yeah, to go from like it, in the Fresh Prince you had Little Nicky who was like an infant, but then all of a sudden he was like a 7-year-old or something like that. So in this case, you have a little boy who's now a full-grown man. It's like, look, I know it's been years since we've seen the character in real life, in the show, but then for him to just randomly grow up like that, I thought was pretty dumb. Number 5, when Justin set himself on fire and he literally tried to take Jeffrey with him. Like, literally, remember when this dude apparently, like, covered himself in gasoline? I think somebody said, like, yeah, there was camera footage of Justin at a gas station or something across the street or close to the restaurant, and he paid for gas and just, poured it all over himself. And then he went into the restaurant, made his way in there. Remember, this was like a hole-in-the-wall restaurant where the tables were really close to each other. And, like, remember, this guy made his way through, pulled up a chair, and then sat where Madison and Jeffrey were. And I'm like, if this guy literally, poured gas all over himself, wouldn't the other customers be like, yo, what the hell is that smell? And then I think he pulled a gun out, and then all of a sudden he just set himself on fire. And it's like he tried to, grab Jeffrey so they can both die together, but I think Madison was the one that beat him off him, and then he fell on the floor and then he died. So that was pretty, like, damn, what the hell? All right, number 4. This was one of the most shocking. This, to me, was the moment the haves and the have-nots completely changed tones. It was, I believe, a mid-season finale. It was when Candace was running around claiming that she was pregnant with Jim's child and was ruining his campaign. And it got to the point where Jim was like, hey, meet with me at the park, late at night, and we can talk things over, and I'll give you everything you want. And then Candace goes, and she gets abducted by the Malones. And it was at that point, I'm like, oh, shit, like, things are getting really dark. And then, of course, that leads to her being, held hostage for a while. But yeah, just that moment, from Jim being smug and, the guys coming up and, putting the handkerchief over her mouth to knock her out. And then Jim's face through the entire scene when he got up and eventually left. I'm like, that's when the show truly changed tones as far as I'm concerned. Number 3, Benica. The moment that Veronica and Benny first became a thing in the show was wild as hell. It completely caught everybody off guard. It was crazy. We never saw it coming. That's all I got to say. Number 2, the lion tattoo saga. From when Hannah first revealed all she knew about who Candace's real father was, and then eventually finding out it was Derek. That entire storyline was wild. The fact that Derek was Hannah's first real love interest, because, she had Byron and Michael kind of at the same time during season 1, but Derek was like the one that we truly saw build up as a love interest for Hannah, from going out on dates, spending the night together, having dinner and whatnot. But Benny's childish ass always interrupted things, which was crazy. But then it got to the point when it was revealed that he is Candace's father, but also the man that, assaulted Hannah when she was younger. And, man, that was pretty wild. But it was a good story. Too bad Derek got arrested, and that was the end of that. Seriously, that was piss poor way of getting rid of the character. And number 1, I feel like this is the pivotal, most important Veronica moment in the show to an extent. This was the moment where she became the bad bitch of the series, when David called her a simple bitch and she tore up the bar in the Sarandon Hotel. It was at that point that we knew Veronica was no longer the Mrs. Harrington we had known up until that point in the series. She was truly something else, and it was crazy. So, those are my top 10 WTF moments of the haves and the have-nots. Let me know what yours are in the comment section below, and I will talk to you in the next video.